Here's some good news for horror fans. David Cronenberg's Scanners is coming to Blu-ray, as indeed are Scanners 2 and Scanners 3, the much lesser sequels. But Scanners on Blu-ray is a big deal. Why? Well, because Scanners is one of those horror films that stands the test of time. It's the film that everyone remembers the first time they saw it. I remember very clearly seeing it in Wood Green. And one of the reasons people remember it so clearly is that it includes one of the most memorable blimey Charlie moments in modern horror cinema. The moment very near the beginning of the film when a man's head explodes on screen. Now, this isn't a plot spoiler. As I said, it happens very early on in the film. Cronenberg himself has said, you know, we gave the audience the big shock at the beginning and then we let them settle down into the plot. And the film was a rather troubled production. They had to make it very, very quickly for financial reasons. But that blimey Charlie moment has stayed with absolutely everyone. We all sat there and wondered how they did it. Later we got the video and watched it back. Oh, I can see how they've done it now. And in fact, what it is there's a shotgun with a model of a head. Originally did it with a watermelon and prosthetics. Then later on with offal and dog food. And the shotgun causes the head to explode and it happens right there on screen. And it started me thinking about those moments in movies in which the film does something really blimey Charlie, and that's the thing that sticks with you. I mean, for example, I remember going to see The Omen. I mean, a very flawed film, a film that was desperately trying to follow in the footsteps of The Exorcist, but it has that extraordinary decapitation sequence, the sequence in which we see a man lose his head from several different angles because the filmmakers are so pleased that they figured out a way of doing it. Then, of course, The Exorcist itself, the silliest moment in The Exorcist, the moment when Reagan's head turns all the way round. As William Peter Blatty, who wrote it, said, if that happened, her head would fall off. Doesn't matter. There is something about the weirdness of that image that really, really stuck with people. And then you get a film like John Carpenter's The Thing, which just seems to be an endless succession of blimey Charlie moments. Most significantly, the scene in which the head sprouts legs and then scuttles off under a table. I remember talking to Brian Usner some years ago, the guy who made Society, and he was talking about his love of plastic reality, the way in which the horror genre constantly shows you things that you don't expect to see. He said it's not sadism, it's surrealism. And he cited, for example, that moment from A Nightmare on Elm Street when suddenly we see Freddy's tongue come out of a telephone. And I was thinking of that a few years ago when I was watching Black Swan, that moment in Black Swan when her legs suddenly crack and reshape into animal form. It's the same thing. It's not to do with violence and gore. It's to do with strangeness and weirdness. As Usner himself said, this isn't sadism, it's surrealism. Therefore, perhaps behind it all is Chien Andalou, that extraordinary moment, the violation of the eye, which is not to do with violence. It's to do with surrealism. So my question to you is, what's the most memorable of those moments for you? I mean, perhaps some of you will cite the chestburster scene from Alien. I remember seeing it for the first time and the whole cinema shrieking, but they weren't shrieking because it was horrible and violent and nasty, although that was part of it. They were shrieking because it was just so damn strange.